There was a man who healed thousands of people using the power of the mind. But among all his teachings, there was a secret he almost never shared. 7 words that, according to him, completely transformed the lives of those who repeated them with true conviction. One of them, after practicing them for 28 days in complete silence, received an opportunity worth $50,000 when he least expected it. However, this man gave a very clear warning: never say them out loud. Pay very close attention, because what you're about to hear could forever change the way you understand money, abundance, and your own reality. But before I reveal those 7 words to you, I want you to do something with me. Close your eyes for 3 seconds. Take a deep breath and repeat only in your mind: I am ready to receive abundance. Don't just say it, feel it. Imagine it, even if just for a moment. What you desire so much is already coming towards you, as if money has found its way into your life and it's only a matter of time. Did you do it? Perfect. Now write in the comments: money comes to me easily. It may seem like a simple comment, but it's actually a statement of intent. It's a way of telling your own mind that you're leaving scarcity behind and starting to focus on the possibility of receiving more. And to be honest, writing a few words costs much less than continuing to feed the same old doubts. Do it now, because this first step sets the stage for everything that comes next. What you're about to discover isn't about magic or strokes of luck. It's a teaching that many consider spiritual science and that has inspired millions of people since 1963. Behind all of this was a man named Joseph Murphy, whose life seems straight out of a novel. He was born on May 20th, 1898 in Ballydahab, a small town in Southern Ireland. His father was a teacher and linguist, so from a young age he grew up surrounded by books, questions, and an enormous curiosity to understand how life works. He studied at a Jesuit seminary, was ordained as a Catholic priest, and also trained in science and chemistry, eventually becoming a pharmacist. However, the more he learned, the more he felt that a piece of the puzzle was missing. There were questions that neither traditional religion nor the science of his time seemed to answer. Then, he made a decision that would change his destiny. He left the priesthood, set sail for New York, and began a tireless quest to discover the true potential of the human mind. It was there, during the 1920s, that he met an enigmatic spiritual teacher named Abdullah, the same mentor who, years later, would deeply influence Neville Goddard. Abdullah imparted to him an idea that would shape the rest of his life. The subconscious mind is the creative force acting through you. Joseph Murphy dedicated more than 50 years to researching and teaching this principle. He became a minister of the Church of Divine Science in Los Angeles and remained at its head for almost 3 decades. Every Sunday, hundreds of people came to hear his teachings. His radio program reached thousands of homes, and he wrote more than 30 books. Among all of them, one stood out and would go on to become a worldwide phenomenon: The Power of the Subconscious Mind, published in 1963. It has sold more than 10 million copies, has been translated into dozens of languages, and remains one of the most widely read books on personal development. But there's something that is almost never talked about. According to numerous accounts, Joseph Murphy managed to recover from a sarcoma that doctors considered almost impossible to overcome. He attributed that recovery to the constant training of his subconscious mind, to affirmations repeated with absolute conviction, and to a faith that never allowed fear to take first place. And during all those years, teaching, healing, and advising people, there was a practice that he reserved only for those he treated privately. It never was explained directly in his books. He only shared it in personal conversations when he believed someone was ready to understand it. The 7 words were, "God is my source of infinite supply." At first glance, they seem too simple. In fact, that's usually everyone's reaction. But wait, because this is where the truly surprising part begins. In 1978, a man arrived at the Church of Divine Science, completely defeated. He had lost his job, had no money, his wife was seriously ill, his children were in need, and he confessed that he no longer found reasons to go on. Joseph Murphy decided to see him privately. He taught him that phrase and explained exactly how he should use it. Every night for 28 consecutive days, the man repeated it silently, without missing a single night, and trying to do it with absolute conviction. The day after completing the process, something unexpected happened. He received a call from an old partner he hadn't spoken to in years. That man offered him a job with an annual salary of $50,000. In 1978, that amount was a real fortune. According to the records attributed to the Church of Divine Science, this episode was documented as one of the cases that Murphy used to explain the power of the focused mind. But what does all this have to do with winning the lottery or attracting financial opportunities? This is where the explanation that Joseph Murphy repeated over and over again comes in. He claimed that the subconscious does not clearly distinguish between an intensely imagined experience and a lived experience. It's like fertile soil. It doesn't question the seed it gets. It simply nurtures it. It doesn't matter if you plant fear or trust, scarcity or abundance, defeat or possibility. Over time, what you feed ends up growing. That's why, when you repeat, "God is my source of infinite supply," according to Murphy, you begin to replace old limiting patterns with a completely different mental programming, oriented toward abundance, opportunities, and a new way of perceiving reality. When you repeat this phrase, you are sending a completely different message to your mind. You are telling it that abundance does not depend solely on a job, on luck, or on someone deciding to give you an opportunity. You are telling it that there is an inexhaustible source of possibilities that you can also be a part of. Joseph Murphy summed it up like this: God's wealth is eternal and infinite. Now think for a moment. How many times have you said things like, "I don't have enough, I can't afford that," or "I'm never lucky with money"? They may seem like unimportant phrases, but Murphy believed that each of them works as an instruction for the subconscious. And if your mind accepts those ideas as true, you'll end up looking for evidence to confirm them over and over again. That's why he kept insisting on changing your inner dialogue. When you start repeating those 7 words with conviction, a shift in focus happens. You stop living with the constant feeling of chasing money and start acting from the idea that opportunities can come to you. According to Murphy, that's where subconscious programming starts to work. Not from doubt, not from mere desire, but from certainty. And this is where the famous 28-day method comes in. What you're about to hear is the ritual that, according to various accounts, Joseph Murphy shared only with some of his closest students. Day 1, prepare the mind. Even before buying a lottery ticket, Murphy said it was essential to examine your relationship with money, because you can repeat 1,000 affirmations. But if deep down you think that rich people are bad, that money always brings problems, or that abundance is reserved for just a few, you will be sending completely opposite messages. It's like trying to move forward with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. It usually doesn't end very well. That's why he recommended sitting in silence for a few minutes. Take a deep breath and do an uncommon exercise. Forgive those who owe you money. Stop feeling envious of those who have more. and sincerely rejoice in their prosperity. Why? Because from their perspective, every prosperous person proves that abundance exists and that it hasn't run out. During that moment, he suggested repeating mentally, "I'm happy for the wealth of others," because it shows that infinite supply is also available to me. Afterwards, the real work began. From day 2 to day 28, every night, right before going to sleep, Murphy considered that moment one of the most important of the day because the conscious mind begins to relax and the subconscious becomes much more receptive. He called that state the sleep-like state. According to him, it's as if the mind were fresh clay. It's easier to shape before it hardens with the worries of the next day. Lie down comfortably. Close your eyes. Gradually relax your whole body and repeat silently, "God is my source of infinite supply." Do it slowly, no rush, without turning it into a mindless repetition. The difference, Murphy said, is not only in the words, but in the emotion that comes with them. Because an affirmation repeated without feeling anything is like planting a seed and forgetting to water it. As you repeat it, imagine in as much detail as possible the moment when you check your ticket. You check the numbers one by one. The first one matches, then the second, then another one, until they all match. Stop right there. What do you feel? Are you left speechless? Are you laughing? Are you crying? Who do you call first? What do you do with that money? Build the whole scene in your mind, not as a distant wish, but as if it were happening right now. Because according to Murphy, the subconscious responds much more strongly to what you experience internally as a present reality. And the exercise doesn't end when you wake up. During those 28 days, every time you have money in your hands, a bill, a coin, a card, or any symbol related to abundance, mentally repeat the 7 words. And if you see something you want to buy, avoid automatically saying, "I can't afford it." Instead, replace that reaction with another idea. God is my source of infinite provision, and this or something even better is coming into my life. Joseph Murphy maintained that every time you say, "I can't afford it," you're not only describing your current situation, but also reinforcing a mental program. According to him, the subconscious interprets that phrase as an instruction, and it starts to act and in line with it. That's why he suggested replacing that dialogue with a completely different one. When you state that provision is infinite, your attention stops focusing on scarcity and starts opening up to new possibilities. From that perspective, the subconscious begins to orient itself toward opportunities that previously went unnoticed. But there is a step that almost no one talks about and that Murphy considered fundamental. Remain silent. He was very strict about this point. Don't tell your partner. Don't tell your friends either. Not even to your family. To no one. Why so much insistence? Because according to Murphy, when you share a spiritual practice before you've firmly established it, you also open the door to other people's doubts, skepticism, jokes, and negative opinions. And even if you don't want to admit it, those voices can end up sowing uncertainty in your own mind. He used a very simple comparison. He said that a prayer is like a seed. You plant it, cover it with soil, and let it grow. If you dig it up every day to check if it has sprouted, you'll end up destroying it. The same thing happens with ideas. Silence allows them to take root, to mature, to grow stronger before being exposed to the world. Murphy even claimed that keeping an intention secret concentrates the mental energy of the person holding it, like a pressure cooker that builds up strength until the right moment. He then explained what he called the scientific basis of this whole process. He insisted that he was not speaking from fanaticism, but from years of study. He had studied chemistry, worked as a pharmacist, and researched different philosophical and spiritual traditions. His conclusion was that the subconscious works according to laws as constant as those of nature. The first one said, "The subconscious accepts whatever the conscious mind holds with enough conviction and emotion." The second one, "Once that idea is imprinted, it will tend to express itself in your life experience." And the third one, "The subconscious never rests. It works 24 hours a day, influencing both the functioning of your body and the way you perceive and respond to the world." That's why he claimed that by repeating these 7 words with faith and feeling, you activated what he called infinite intelligence. An intelligence that, according to his teachings, finds paths that the rational mind often can't even imagine. Your job isn't to control every detail, nor to obsess over the how. Your task is to maintain that conviction, accept, feel, persist. Throughout his career, Murphy shared numerous testimonies from people who claimed to have transformed different aspects of their lives by applying these principles. One of the most well-known cases is about a woman who attended one of his last sermons in Los Angeles. She had received a diagnosis of advanced cancer and the prognosis was very poor. Murphy taught her to repeat every night, "God is my source of infinite supply." In her case, she understood that this provision also included her recovery. Months later, she claimed to have experienced an improvement that she attributed to that practice. Another account mentions a university student who was about to drop out of his studies due to a lack of financial resources. He began doing the same exercise for 28 days. According to the story, a few weeks later, a relative he barely had contact with unexpectedly decided to help him financially, allowing him to continue his education. Murphy used examples like these to support a central idea. Your country, age, religion, or personal history doesn't matter. If you deeply change what you hold inside, the way you experience your reality can also change. And before concluding, he always offered a warning. He didn't see this method as a passing experiment, nor as a technique to try one day and forget the next. He had dedicated more than half a century to teaching these principles, and he repeated a promise with absolute conviction. If you remain firm in the idea that God is your source of infinite supply, even when circumstances seem to say otherwise, sooner or later, your reality will begin to reflect that new conviction. But that transformation requires consistency. Doing it for only one day isn't enough, not even for a week. Murphy insisted on maintaining the practice for at least 28 days, convinced that this period allows new patterns to be established in the subconscious mind. Well, that strange guy didn't seem to be from this world. And during that time, he repeated 3 fundamental rules. Don't feed doubt, don't abandon the practice, and don't reveal your process before it's time. Live as someone who already trusts in the soul. Find abundance. Walk with serenity. Speak with confidence. Think from possibility, not from fear. It's not about pretending a reality that doesn't exist. It's about training your mind to stop acting as if scarcity is the only option. And when the time comes to buy your lottery ticket, do it from a completely different state of mind. Not from anxiety, not from desperation, nor from that thought of, I hope this time it works. Do it calmly, with confidence, with the peace of mind of someone who feels that opportunities can appear in ways they can't even imagine yet. As you walk toward the store, silently repeat the 7 words. Do it calmly. Not like someone trying to convince the universe of something, but like someone who has already decided to believe in a new possibility. Allow that idea to settle inside you. Let abundance stop feeling like something distant and start becoming a reality you're willing to accept. When you receive the ticket, look at it with gratitude. Not just as a simple piece of paper, but as a physical reminder of the intention you've planted over the past few days. Carry it with you. Keep it in a special place. And that same night before going to sleep, return to a state of deep relaxation. Close your eyes. Repeat the 7 words again. Then imagine the whole scene. The news. The emotion. The call. The smile you can't hide. The peace of knowing that everything changed. Live it as intensely as possible. Because Murphy claimed that the more real an experience becomes inside you, the more deeply it is engraved in your subconscious. Now then, you're probably thinking something. If it were that simple, everyone would be a millionaire? And that was precisely one of the objections that Joseph Murphy often responded to. He said the problem wasn't the technique. It was consistency. Most people discover a new idea. They get excited for a couple of days. They expect immediate results. And when reality doesn't change as fast as they expected, they conclude that nothing works. Then they give up. And they go back to thinking exactly the same as before. But according to Murphy, change doesn't happen because of the intensity of the first day. It happens because of the discipline to keep going when you still don't see results. He spent more than 50 years teaching these principles. He passed away in 1981, leaving behind a legacy that continues to inspire millions of people around the world. His books have sold millions of copies, and many of his ideas influenced authors and speakers who, decades later, would popularize personal development and the power of the mind. Among all his teachings, there was one that he repeated constantly. You have the right to live a life of abundance. Not because money is the ultimate goal, but because, from his perspective, prosperity allows you to develop your own potential with greater freedom. And now the decision is completely in your hands. Because according to Murphy, manifestation does not depend solely on time. It depends on how firmly you hold an idea. Some people experience changes quickly. Others take longer. But he insisted that perseverance was the real factor that made the difference. He used a very simple comparison. If you plant a seed of abundance and take care of it every day, it will eventually grow. If you plant one of scarcity and feed it with fear, it will also grow. The question was never what the subconscious does. The question has always been what you are giving it to cultivate. Because according to Murphy, the subconscious doesn't argue with you. It doesn't contradict you. It simply works with what you repeat, feel, and reinforce over and over again. If this message awakened something inside you, if you felt it came at the right time and you want to commit to a new way of thinking, write in the comments, God is my source. More than just a phrase, it represents a decision. The decision to stop feeding fear and start training your mind to adopt a different perspective. And if you're interested in delving deeper into the teachings of Joseph Murphy, his methods for working with the subconscious, and the ideas that impacted millions of people, don't miss the upcoming content, because this is just the beginning. There are even more amazing principles that can help you understand how your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions influence the way you experience life. And remember one of the ideas that Murphy repeated most often. You have the right to aspire to a full and abundant life. There's no merit in resigning yourself to living with the belief that it will never be enough. Allow yourself to think big. Allow yourself to believe that your reality can change. Because the day you truly accept the possibility of a more prosperous life, you will also start to act, decide, and see the world from a completely different place. And, who knows, Maybe that will be the first step toward the transformation you've been waiting for so long.